Okay, folks, Captain Paul here aboard Southern Estate, my 50-foot trawler, basically marine trader that I live full-time with my twin brother, Pete. And for you guys that don't know or any first time watching the videos right here, last year we did the Bahamas in this boat right here. I probably have about 10,000 nautical miles with Southern Estate here. And we moved to Florida last year, basically. But the trick here is we need insurance. In today's video, we're going to talk about what happened, where we're at with insurance, and how hard it is to get insurance on one of these 40-year-old boats. Because as you guys know, anybody that follows the videos know that we got a 34-page survey done, out of the water survey done. And the reason is because you have to have that to get insurance, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Insurance on these 40-year-old trawlers is difficult, and I want to go back and explain how we got insurance on it originally, and when the do's and the don'ts of boat insurance, especially on one of these 40-year-old trawlers, because it's very, very important that you understand that when you go, whether you're going before a bank, if you guys, anybody that's financing one of these, you have to have full coverage insurance. We didn't finance Southern Estate. We own it cash outright, so we can do liability insurance, and liability insurance is much cheaper than full coverage insurance on the boat. For one thing, and maybe I'll do that next week, hurricane readiness plan. What would I do in case of a hurricane? Maybe we'll talk about that next week, because while we're talking about insurance and stuff like that, living here in Marathon, Florida, we have to be ready for a hurricane. It's not when or when, it's not a matter of if, it's when the hurricane comes here to Marathon again, because we live in that environment. And when you live in that environment, you got to be ready. You can't just think that it's never going to happen. So we'll talk about that in next week's video. This week's video is all about, the do's and don'ts with boat insurance, how we got insurance on Southern Estate, what carrier we're going with right now, and then what carrier I'm going to go with later this year and get some quotes from, because there are more options with this survey right here. When I didn't have the survey, I didn't have any options. So let me explain. So when we originally bought Southern Estate, my twin brother Pete helped me buy it, and he was living in Texas with my brother. So we documented the vessel for Texas. So in Texas, we were able to get insurance through Progressive, and then we were able to get full coverage insurance on the boat. The deal with the insurance is it's tripled in the last, we're going on I think this is our 4th year I've been living aboard the boat. And when I first started, when it was me and my ex-wife, Beverly, we were paying about $700 a year for full coverage insurance. That's liability and full coverage. And then the premiums I think it was right after COVID, they just skyrocketed. So now, and it's not even COVID, it was all the hurricanes that happened down here in Florida. The insurance it tripled, more than tripled, because now the premium for last year, full coverage insurance on Southern Estate, the bill was $3,400 and some, almost $3,500. We'll just call it that. And when we originally started living aboard, it was $700. So you guys, anybody can do the math on that. It's almost quadrupled. And that is what it is. I've talked about this in several videos. They're driving out, the guy that, the people that have lesses, can't do this anymore, because it's gotten so outrageous. Now, we don't carry any type of mortgage, or we don't owe anybody any money for this boat. So we can opt to go with liability only, and that's what you need to get into the marina. So if you're doing America's Great Loop, or you're out here and you're living aboard in a marina, you have to have insurance. You have to have some type of liability insurance to cover the marina in case of an accident or something, like, or you hit somebody else's boat or something like that. So that's minimum what you've got to have. One of the golden rules when you're out here shopping for insurance, never use the term live aboard. I don't care if you are a live aboard, don't use that terminology. Use some other type of terminology, like we use the address, and we didn't, the question never came up, so we never brought it up. We just said, I need full coverage insurance on this boat, and they gave us a price, and then we took the insurance. You don't have to say, hey, I'm a live aboard. If you use that terminology, the insurance gets a lot more complicated, and it's going to get very, very tougher and tougher for you. You have to have some type of address on land. And if you once you have that address, that dictates the price, because if you're up in the river system, like in Denopolis or something like that, way out of the hurricane belt, the insurance prices do drop. Even the full coverage on Southern Estate here, I could probably get it to around, probably somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000 a year. And I want to hear you guys' comments down there, especially you guys up there. I know there's a bunch of you guys that watch the videos. What's your full coverage price? Just leave your, what you're paying a year right now up there on the river system, where you're out of this hurricane belt, let's call it, because the premiums do drop quite a bit. So last year, when we got insurance on Southern State, so we had to go renew our policy from Progressive, and we thought, no big deal. Hey, we'll just, we have an address here in Florida. We'll use the Florida address. Well, when we did that, Progressive called us up and said, we won't insure the boat anymore. And we said, whoa, 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 whoa. And we didn't have time then, because the policy was running out and lapsing. So we didn't have time to, do an out of the water survey and all that stuff. But even with Progressive, it didn't matter. Once we lose this policy with Progressive, we cannot insure the boat in the state of Florida. That is impossible. Progressive won't do it. Anything 20 years and older, the insurance gets a lot more complicated. And a lot of people equate the insurance to your skill level as a boater, and that's not it. There is some factor to it. And you guys that go out and get your captain's license and think your captain's license is going to help you with insurance, it doesn't actually. Actually, my premium went up a little bit when they found out that I was a full-blown captain. So that does not help you. And having a captain's license from the Coast Guard, 100-ton captain's license, unless you go out there and you got thousands of dockings under your belt, you're not a captain. You do not know how to operate the boat. Well, the insurance company knows that, and so does everybody else. You can't fake your way through that. You can take an exam, and you can go to school, and you can pass that test, but it doesn't mean you can drive a boat, and they know that. So, I mean, don't think, I just don't want you to think, just because you go get your 100-ton or your 50-ton, which you can't get a 100-ton or 50-ton or 25-ton without having experience behind the wheel. That's part of getting the license. But you can be a deckhand and get that license, those guys don't have the experience behind the wheel of actually docking the boat and stuff like that, and the insurance companies know that, so they don't allow for that. So it may help now that, and I'll get into this a little bit more as I get my new quotes for this year. Our insurance is due on April 25th, and we're going to have to leave Progressive now, and then we're going to have to get insurance here in the state of Florida. Now, whether that's liability insurance or full coverage, I don't know yet. But with this 34-page survey that was just completed on Southern Estate, I'm able to get that insurance and shop for that insurance now, because everybody required it. And it had to be an out-of-the-water survey. So it has to be pictures. The surveyor has to take the boat out of the water. And this was a fully accredited surveyor. This wasn't just some, I hate to say it, but, some surveyor that is less qualified and doesn't have all the credentials. This was a full-blown surveyor that has, he's got credentials and all that stuff that the insurance companies will take. And then, and there's certain procedures and stuff like that they have to follow. Another thing, like Southern Estate did really, really well on her survey, I thought. She's 44 foot, she's 40 years old. The buck value of this boat is $86,000, but because of the dinghy and the solar system on there, they upped it and they gave us an appraisal of $96,000 on Southern Estate. And that's not me. I didn't ask for anything. I didn't ask for any favors. I didn't say, hey, I need the price as high as I can get it. I just wanted to know what the fair market value is for this boat in the condition that it's in. So in the survey, he came back with $96,000. So, and I would say that's fair. If I painted the hull and painted the whole superstructure, put some granite tops in here, I mean, this boat possibly could sell probably a little over 100, maybe 110, $120,000, something like that. But it's still a long ways from there, and I'm never going to do it. I've learned my lesson on these 40-year-old trawlers. enjoy them, love them, and play with them. And then when you're done with them, turn them over to the next guy. You know what I'm saying? And just roll the paint on. I hate to say that. I hate to say that word, but they're just not worth it. There's a point when it becomes not worth it. So the first thing we learned is do not use the terminology live aboard. If you're going to use that terminology, you're going to have a tough time with insurance. As long as you don't use that terminology and you have an out of the water survey, you're going to be able to get insurance. You can call and talk to me. I'll tell you who. I can give you the reference of the person that I use in Florida, and I'm going to get my insurance quote here in the next couple of weeks. I just literally got my, this video might be just a week premature, but I just got my report back Saturday. So I'll call Julie, and that's my lady here in Florida, and I will get a quote from her for full coverage. And then there's a couple of other guys on the YouTube channel that have given me their number. Now that I have this, I'll get a couple of quotes, and then I'll touch up on probably 2 or 3 videos from now, once I get these quotes of what the full coverage insurance is for Southern Estate to be in this slip. And when I say that, I think I'm gonna have to put together, it's even in this survey right here, a couple of things that that I'm not in compliance with, and one is having a sewer treatment plan. I think you got to have a written one, and I didn't have it written, and I don't have it done, so it's something I got to work on. And then I think another one of the things in here was the hurricane readiness plan, which we don't have it in writing here. And then I also need a manual in here talking about all of the rules of the trades. I do think I have that book. I just didn't show it to him, and I probably could call him and get him to take that off as soon as I find that book. But those are the 3 main things that came up in this survey right here that need to be addressed, probably for the insurance company. And we'll do that. Now that's if we go with full coverage insurance. Now if we do go with just liability insurance, all the rules change. And when you're going into these marinas, even if you're doing the loop and your boat's paid for, some marinas that you go in will require they'll ask for liability insurance. You'll have to call your insurance company, and then they'll send them a binder saying yes, that you're covered. You have a liability insurance on the boat, and that their marina is covered while you're in that marina. I've done it a few times. I had to probably do it on America's Great Loop. I think I had to do it a total of 4 times. And then once you get in the system, you're good for that whole year, if that makes sense. So when I was in Gulf Shores, Alabama, we used to take Southern Estate here over to the wharf. Well, the wharf required that insurance binder. So, but once I did it once for the year, I was good for the entire year. I could go in and out of the marina anytime I wanted to for that entire year. For the entire period that it showed on the insurance papers. And then I didn't have any problem at all. So just keep that in the back of your mind, that if you're going to go into some of these marinas, they will require that you have insurance, and you will have to have, liability. I don't know, $500,000. I think it's 300,000. Could be $500,000. Let's hear in the comments what you guys say. Some of you guys have $1 million. The prices really don't go up that high when you start talking about that stuff. It's a difference of $100 or $200 or something like that. But I think typically, the main liability is 300,000. Some of them will require 500,000. I think that's a good cap to have, and I want to hear you guys' comments about that. So, with that being said, now, so we know don't use the terminology live aboard. You got to get your survey. So if you're purchasing a boat, you don't have to do a survey, but you should do a survey on the boat. And you can there's 2 different surveys too. There's like a purchasing survey and an insurance survey. This is an insurance survey that we did because that's all we needed. But at the same time, he did do a purchase survey, and I was able to find a few of the things that need to be addressed on the boat, which is good. So and I like that, so that I know, because if we do go to sell this boat, which we will one day, the Southern Estate will be officially for sale. We'll put it on Boat Trader and sell it. And we'll have that survey to back it up. And this survey right here for insurance is good for 2 years. So if somebody went to purchase Southern Estate in the next 2 years, they can use that to get full coverage insurance on the boat. So if they had to get a loan, they can use that same survey right there. And we could call that guy, and he could come in and probably resurvey the boat or get another survey or whatever. He's got a good guideline. He's got all the information, all the engines and stuff like that. So no using the terminology liveaboard. I'll say it over and over again. You got to have an out of the water survey. Once you've completed those things, insurance is not impossible. Now it's expensive, and we'll get into that next week. I'm going to imagine, because I have got a few quotes already, it's going to be about the same as it is now. It's going to be about $3,500 a year for full coverage insurance on Southern Estate. But what I don't know is how much that was for, because on the Progressive policy, it was only good for $70,000. They would only insure the boat for $60,000, and then they gave me $10,000 contents. So that's like my dinghy and stuff like that. But now that I have a survey saying that the boat is worth $96,000 with the solar system and the new dinghy, that we'll see what it comes back, and we'll see what they say, and I'll update you guys on what they say on a video in the future here, and how much insurance that I can get, because it matters, especially for the guys that are financing these older boats. Financing these older boats and getting insurance on them is getting harder and harder, but it all can be done. It's just a matter of, what do you want to do? And I recommend everybody, I tell everybody, that cash is king. And you should, when you're buying one of these 40-year-old boats, you should be paying cash for them and not worrying about the financing. Because right now, I think somebody just told me the other day, it's 11% interest. That's craziness. So even 11% on, $100 grand. I mean, that's insanity to me. So anyway, so this week's video, like I said, we're talking about insurance. So next week's video, I think I want to just get back to the basics a little bit of, can anybody do this? What's it take? What have we experienced? Let's just say in the last year and a half, as we made that transition from a cruising boat. That's a boat that we're continuously moving. We did America's Great Loop. We did the Bahamas. We did the Keys. And this boat was on the move almost every other month. It sat for about a year. While we were getting it ready for the Bahamas, adding the solar system and stuff like that, and getting work and prepping it. But then once we got done with the Bahamas, now it kind of sits here. So we'll talk about that next week. Just how we got our jobs, what we did, and how we like living here in Marathon, Florida. And then we'll talk about our hurricane readiness plan next week, of what to expect for this season, and what we're gonna do to prepare for that season. Anyway, guys, peace out. Love all of you. I don't know if anybody's noticing the gym, if it's doing any good or not, but I still go every single day. God bless you. Have a great week. Thank you so much for watching. Love you.